Good morning. It's January 7th, Friday. And yesterday I spent reviewing information about the January 6th insurrection. And I've ranted on it. So we are now in year 2. And I have to tell you what's bothering me. Today is 1 year and a day after supporters of Donald Trump breached the U.S. Capitol, attacking officers and destroying parts of the building in what was a stunning display of insurrection. In spite of what all of the Trumpers say, it wasn't an insurrection. It was, plain and simple. Now, on the day that riot took place, Congress was meeting to certify Biden's victory in the 2020 presidential election. I don't have to recount that particular part of the story necessarily. But because of the rioters, the Capitol was put on lockdown, and it took several hours for the place to be secured. And the lawmakers evacuated the House and the Senate chambers. And Vice President Mike Pence was moved to a safe location. So this was no ordinary event in our history. This was a major act of civil disobedience. So I don't have to tell you how bad this was, and I don't have to tell you that major parts of this country were shaken, and the deaths and the chaos of people that were involved in this, the police officers and the one young lady that was shot when she tried to climb into the Capitol building, And 700 people have been charged by the Justice Department in connection with the riots. And Trump was impeached, but the Senate acquitted him. So that's a little bit of background of what I'm trying to get at here. This is a critical thing that I learned, that the House Select Committee that was formed in July of 2021 to investigate the attack on the Capitol, is not going to report anything until this summer. An interim report is expected this summer. And this is what's troubling. We have a 2022 election looming on the horizon. And there's a good chance that the Democrats will lose their majority in Congress. And I don't know how many senators are up for election, so it's conceivable that they can lose the tie in the Senate also. So this event, this January 6th insurrection, this event that is being investigated, is taking too long to be investigated. There has to be a sense of urgency about getting to the bottom of how this event took place and why this event took place, and to put to rest all of the theories that are mainly incorrect about who and what took place on January 6th. What I have read recently is that mainstream Americans were more prevalent in the riot than fringe elements. And I mean mainstreamers. I mean people who are doctors and lawyers and well-educated. Over 50% of the rioters were in that category. And there's one thing that stuck out about all of these people who have been surveyed. They have been running surveys and investigations to try and figure out who was at the core of this event. And it turns out that the core of the people who were at the riot and contributing to the riot were professional people, CEOs, doctors, and lawyers and everything. And the one piece of information that runs consistently through this group is that they live in places where the white population is slowly disappearing. What they are living in is in areas of the country, counties, where the colored are moving in and taking the place of the whites. And it can be immigrant colors or just regular American colors. But these are people who are not white. And that is what is stirring the people who attended this riot. They are afraid that they are losing the white America that they so dearly cherish. These people are not prepared for the future. They are not prepared for the fact that the United States will no longer be primarily a white nation. And that was one of the major underlying factors in this terrible event that took place on January 6th of 2020. So I've said that. And if those of you out there who don't believe that there's racism stirring in this country should wake up and understand that fact. But the other important issue with this committee is that they have to get this job done. They can't dilly-dally and let this thing drag on until the election of 2022 if, as I suspect, they're going to lose the majority in the House and in the Senate. And that will be the end of this committee and the end of this investigation. And yes, they've charged 700 people, but they haven't gotten anybody of substance to stand up and tell them what really happened in the background. They're still trying to get the papers from the National Archives. But Donald Trump is using his time-old methodology to stall that. I don't know whether he really believes that the Supreme Court will stand with him and say that executive privilege carries on for the life of any living president or something like that. I don't believe he believes that. He's just suing so that nothing happens, the information cannot be gathered before the 2022 election. And that's a frightening thought. It's a frightening thought that we're not going to get the information we need to put this entire episode of our lives in the proper perspective. Because one man can stand in the way and sue and stop everything. And you would think that this is very important and that the Supreme Court would make a quick decision. They could say, we're not even going to look at this case and let it go. Or they can say, we're definitely going to take this case up. And you'll have a decision in X or Y days. But that's not the way it works. This thing is going to linger, so it might be 2 or 3 months before the Supreme Court comes out and says it's okay to give the committee the papers, or they don't have to give the committee the papers. They can stand by Donald Trump and say executive privilege lives until the ex-president dies, which I would find to be a horrible decision. But in any event, time is moving on, and it seems to me that it's crawling. It's crawling with respect to this investigation. We need to have action. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.